Good day, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. And we'll kind of get right into it because I know Danny's been busy. It sounds like you're running around everywhere, going through all the song and the dance for Foxify.
Always.
Nice. You have been on the channel, so I do appreciate you coming back. It's been a little while. I have grown. There's a lot of new people hopefully coming to visit. So I guess we will start with the first thing, which is just kind of the usual song and dance of a little intro about yourself. Obviously, MDB has been around for a while. You've been in the space for a while. Hopefully, most people know you, but I know some little places I've gone, it's been people that have really only invested in one thing, and I'm trying to get them obviously aware of other things in the space. And I think MDB and Danny is definitely one to know in the space. So go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's really kind. And hello everybody that's here. I'm always watching the comments, as you know. So say hi in the comments, and I think thanks everyone for coming. Anybody that doesn't know me, so Danny, I'm sort of founder. I was originally founder of MDB. I've been in Web3 just over a year, and now founder CEO of Foxify as well. Foxify, is a trading platform that's decentralized. That's meant to act as a really good crossover from centralized finance into decentralized. So it takes away sort of like concerns around trust and custody of funds, but also whilst providing a very friendly user experience that people can jump into very quickly. That's me. I've got a bit of my background, not to bore people, because many people here have probably heard me talk many times. But I've got I'm not a 20-year-old developer. I know people like those in this industry. I'm pushing the wrong end of my 30s. I've worked in corporate for over 10 years, worked for a couple of Fortune 500s, always attracted to sort of very transformative, it's easy for me to say, industries, additive manufacturing, SaaS, energy and sustainability, and now blockchain. So super passionate about things that can change the world as we know it, and super passionate about how Foxify is going to change everything.
Yeah, absolutely, and I agree, and looking forward to seeing what it does when it comes out. So I think June is when you're aiming for, correct?
End of June. We're looking at beta to start off sort of early June. We're kind of moving in waves because the platform does have a number of different sort of flavors to it. So we'll be moving in waves and looking to get it all done by the end of June.
Nice. And you kind of give a little bit of an elevator pitch, but the whole idea here is, from what I understand from my grasp so far, and looking forward to digging a lot deeper with a video I'll do hopefully next week before the next mint. But the idea here is really there is nothing that lets you trade decentralized, lets you on ramp, lets you off ramp, gas list. Like I don't even know how to list all the features for this, because it's kind of got a bit of everything. Is there a way of kind of summing it up in what's going to be the use, I guess, and I guess the best way to do this possibly as a bite-sized thing is what's the use for the knowledgeable trader? What's the use case for the the medium guy? And then what's the use case for possibly a newbie?
Yeah, it's really interesting actually, because so if you think about, I think there's two things you got to do. I sound like a broken record now because I've done a few interviews the last few days, but there's kind of three things you need to think about. One, you need to solve a problem. Number two, you need to remove any barriers to people using what you do, and then sticking with it. And then number three, the economics have to really work. And if we look at number one, the number one concern of any trader is the solvency of their platform. Decentralized trading solves that, right? So you don't, when you trade on the platform, you're not handing over your funds, not your keys, not your crypto. That goes away. It does have other barriers though, and I think even it's interesting that you say, like, because intuitively you think of somebody who trades a lot, they can handle complexity, when in truth that isn't really the case. If you look at the volume on centralized platforms, it's well over 50 times that on decentralized platforms, right? The difference is huge. So despite the fact that you've got some players who have hit the market, that have had some success, like Perchtex, for instance, and done decent volume and decent fees, in truth, it is a speck compared to the real opportunity there. And what nobody has done, so whilst nobody has really even started to really shift the landscape in terms of DeFi versus CeFi yet, nobody's even thinking beyond that, right? I think, don't hold me to this, but I think the daily FX traded volume is more than the crypto annual volume traded daily. It's just the world outside of our little bubble is an absolute monster. And and there's a lot of benefits of Web3. So ultimately, the platform, it takes away that concern around solvency, but it also then solves the problem of why most people don't move across, actually.
Yeah.
And the reason why, the reason why most people want to move across is because their fear of insolvency and fears around solvency. And then the reason they don't is because of this user experience, which is very complex, very hard to get our head around. It sounds weird me saying that in DeFi, because to us, we've got it. But the numbers tell you that for every one of us that make us through that wall of treacle of central, seed phrases and wallets and bridging and gas, and once we finally understand all of that, there's another 1,000 people for every one of us that makes it through that's still stuck on the other side of the wall of
Absolutely.
treacle. Well, they're just too busy. They could just do without it, and ultimately that's what Foxify does. But it also takes it to another level. It also puts the power of trading back in the hands of people. Perpetuals offers, it's a proven model of trading versus the liquidity pool. But then on our peer-to-peer options, it offers a first of its kind opportunity for real people to operate on both sides of a trade. To be a maker, and that means you can set the rate for an option, and to then be a taker on the other side. So there's not only the product, the user experience, and also our strategy. Like, have you ever seen anybody launch a decentralized trading platform and sign a global top 20 athlete? Absolutely not. And that's what we've done already. So we're pushing the boundaries in all areas.
Nice. And it's great. And so, and the neat thing there too, and the other thing that I actually find super exciting about this more long term is what it's going to do when we go to the next bear. And I don't think people realize
you've been in a bear so long you've forgotten what a bull is.
Yeah, well, exactly. And obviously the bull is going to be really exciting. But even going back to the bear, this type of platform will sustain people in this system longer, I feel.
Absolutely.
Which is crazy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the market is huge, right? You're talking, tens of trillions of dollars are traded during the bear, just in crypto alone. So bear market or bull market, there is a market, and those obstacles to people joining the market still exist.
Exactly. No, awesome. And you guys have obviously some neat, obviously because of MDB, I don't want to go too far into that one, but because of that, you've built such a community and such a stature in this space that will obviously make sense where you guys are kind of trying to become a Fortune 500 company, which is what we need in the space, is people taking those bulls by the horn and creating real products, real changes with real use cases, which is what I love about the opportunity here. So amazing. And I guess we should show off the website a little bit here. I'll just pull that up because it definitely is another thing that you guys do well. I do remember when aka, well, I guess old school name was $1 Million Baby started. And as it evolved, you guys were definitely ones that showed off with style, which is amazing. And
thank you.
Necessary in the space.
I'm a difficult person to work with, I'll be honest.
Detail oriented.
We have a content strategy at the moment which was 70. Now it's 84 pieces of content because we keep adding to it. But we're only just pushing out our first piece of content because I'm a difficult person to probably deal with at times. So I just want to thank all of my team for suffering me.
Nice. Yeah, and there's a lot of them there, and that's growing, and I appreciate that too, because you're getting some great people. I've had some great talks with Rachel, who's by here looking at what's going on, which is amazing.
She's here, yeah. Shout out for Rachel.
Exactly. And some other great people, Pillars, another big group in the space who's been around for a while and looks for very ethically run projects and that kind of thing, and really tries to call people out. So I'll just give him a quick call out while he's here.
He's Pillars. Is it Mad Hatter? Is that his name?
Mad Hatter,
yeah. How well spoken is he?
Amazing. yeah. And just really to the point. And so I'm not as abrupt or as I challenge a little bit, but I don't go quite as gritty as he does. But I appreciate that in him for sure.
Yeah, I can't do it because I'm like a chimney sweep versus his how eloquent he is. But he you can. There's certainly a very sort of like the way he speaks is a very British way that you can be very scathing while sounding like you're being quite nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Awesome.
But
And so yeah, so obviously the site here, beautiful, and then the app launching soon. You do have affiliates, and you've obviously gotten in a lot of great people in the space who are looking to obviously help grow the brand and build it.
yeah.
A little bit of somebody else there.
And I'd
Um,
love to talk about that a little bit if you don't
sure.
mind. I don't want to
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
I don't want to like ambush it. And
No.
growing our affiliates, like one, I've learned so much in this industry. And we launched our first project and we called it Make DeFi Better eventually because that's really what we wanted to do. We were really frustrated with what we saw within the space. And now on a slightly different side as well, there's people like you and everybody that you can see in our affiliates so far
Mhm.
are all people that are able to see a bigger picture and want to get behind something and want to get behind it long term, and they genuinely want to change the space.
Mhm.
And one of the biggest challenges to this industry is this very short term hustler type thinking, and it happens at many levels within the industry where people are just trying to take something right now from someone else. And I think that's one of the reasons why there's such a high failure rate within the industry, and why communities, projects, influencers, that what they're focused on and what they're what even you saw it in the last few months. Everybody that was pumping out a degen token is suddenly now an expert on Ethereum and Bitcoin, and it's very transient because few people really invest in each other long term. And we wanted this affiliate program to be something that we're just like, look, we are doubling down on our affiliates, and we want affiliates that see the bigger opportunity and go on the journey with us. And so everybody that you see there signs up to a bigger picture, and there's many that won't sign up. And when Foxify's hyped and we're pumping and we're absolutely flying, those guys will come knocking on the door and saying, can we do
Can I get a
something
piece of the
with you
pie?
guys? Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. And it's done very well and very responsibly, because obviously we've seen other trends in the space where it's more of a shill event where they're just there to
Yeah,
make the referral codes and run away. And
yeah,
it's not really done like that at all. So I appreciate the
absolutely.
system and that. And yeah, so on the website, obviously a gorgeous website and a lot of details, obviously so far. I guess anything, I guess that's coming or that we know about that, like a few people have asked and I've seen the answer. Obviously there's API connections and
Yep.
other tools like a centralized exchange would have in order to let everybody kind of do it whatever way they want, really.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
absolutely. Well, look, there's so much coming. There's so much coming. I think what's happening more immediately, we've got 4 waves. We're into our second wave of our free NFT mint. So the second wave will be next week. So get yourself in the community, complete a couple of tasks. You help us, we help you. And
nice.
there's an opportunity to mint an NFT that could be up to 25% off a trading fee. So you have significant secondary market value. Potentially, not financial advice. And then we're pushing very hard into a beta. We're going to have a big announcement next week. Actually, it's going to be something huge being announced next week. We're
Nice.
pushing very hard, in the background with partnerships and working with other organizations. We're pushing very hard in terms of building relationships on the Arbitrum ecosystem as well. The Arb DAO hosting us for an AMA in a few weeks, and then we've got lots of other conversations going on, and then really it's about getting to beta early June, and then we'll have our token generation event and launch of the platform after beta will be sort of towards the end of June as well. So yeah,
Nice.
so
Yeah.
things are in the background super hot right now, and when we hit June, it's going to be pumping. But
No
yeah,
kidding.
no, we're very happy with our progress at this stage. The community building, the engagement that we're getting socially is significant. So yeah, we're in a good spot.
So with that, I guess, and Mike, one question, just thinking about the blockchain itself and how there's limitations on how you can build contracts on it. What has been the challenge there for you guys? Because it must be immense on how having to get all the features kind of put in on a contract, would it not? Because are they
Uh,
all? I guess they're all different ones.
yeah. So that I think the I'm not a developer, right? Just full disclosure, but
Yeah.
the best practice for smart contract development is to have interconnecting multiple contracts
Yeah.
that serve different functions. And then if you need to change something in a certain area, there's no downtime, or you're not having to sort of V2 or pivot your whole your whole platform. So that's best in class development. Obviously, we'll have world class audits on the platform as well,
Nice.
and yeah. So in terms of challenge, there's no significant challenges for us from a technical point of view. There's lots of things that we're doing that are very innovative. So we're adopting ERC 4337, which was only launched 2 months ago, and that's ERC 4337. It's Vitalik's. It's all very cool, but it delivers so much in terms of user experience, and then also the way the options work. So that if anyone doesn't know, 4337 allows you to give permission to the blockchain to execute sort of activities for you. So you to give you an example where that plays out, you can have non-custodial wallets now, right? So you log on with your email and it will create a wallet and send the seed phrase to your email. And then obviously it's important that people educate themselves on Web3 security and learn about that and move into a more safer setting than that over time. It enables, for instance, gasless transactions. So you can, if you're not comfortable with DeFi and gas and bridging all of those things, you can select gasless transactions, and our smart contract will pay your gas for you and just deduct it from your balance. So if there's 9 cents for a transaction, you just see it come from your balance, and our smart contract will execute the gas on your behalf and pay it on your behalf. So and then on the options as well, it allows you for the first time, we'll have these options where an individual, sophisticated, semi-sophisticated, or even retail can decide, look, rather than trading options, what I want to do is fund options and sell options. And you can actually fund an option. You set the rate, say on Bitcoin, to move so much in 4 hours, and then you can set the rate of return, and people trade against you, and you can automate the compound of liquidity. So you come and trade against my option, Jason, and you're wrong, so I'm accumulating. If you lose to me, then I'm going to accumulate your liquidity, and then I can just recompound that back into the option. So you can have this very sort of like hands-off market making for normal people.
Nice.
That aren't using bots and APIs, although we do have all of that as well.
Nice. And I guess one person just asked, is Foxify building the bots? What bot types? I guess that's going to happen through API keys, so it's going to be up to whoever to build the bots on their own, and they just link with it, I presume.
Yeah, I think it depends what that person's asking, right? I think you've got, a little unknown fact, little known fact, I should say, is that with perpetuals, so decentralized perpetuals trading, that you do rely on some off-chain services. So that's why it's really important that you've got a very, very capable team with lots of experience. Our team's enterprise grade experience, and if you want market orders, limit orders, things like that, triggers, then there has to be bots. So maybe that individual is talking about those things, and those bots would have to be, those bots are obviously built in house and also need to be audited as well. But in terms of traders using their own bots, then we're developing APIs. We can also support API development for if there's somebody here that's a significant trader, has a specific format that they would like, then we can also work closely with people that are going to trade very high volume and support them with the creation of that.
Good. Okay. And Quarter Mile has got a few of questions all of a sudden, but he's a good member of my community, so I appreciate him. So they're just saying what he calls gasless. So yeah, and I guess hopefully everybody kind of knew that the gas, you don't just magically disappear. So I'm assuming through fees and stuff that you guys are collecting, you're creating a pool where people can take advantage of it, like take a penny, leave a penny.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a bit like you get like faucets. You get faucets I suppose it's similar to that, but it does get deducted from your balance. So there is gas because we're building on Arbitrum, and there is gas on Arbitrum. It's not a gasless blockchain, but it's also a vibrant ecosystem with lots of decentralized platforms on it already, and also very deep liquidity. I think Arbitrum, a little fact for you, Arbitrum has more transfer of liquidity from ETH than all the other L2s combined.
It's been insane. They've been absolutely monsters right now. So
there is gas, but the experience is gasless for the individual. So if you've come from CeFi, you could be a very experienced trader, but it's still complex in your head around wallets and gas and bridging and all of those things, and that just goes away.
Yeah, I guess it kind of just skips that, so you're not even seeing that step. Okay, interesting. I get what you mean there. Okay.
Yeah.
And he is asking as well, is it a DEX? I mean, I guess at its bare bones, there's part DEX inside of it, but it seems like it's much more, I presume.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because a lot of the platforms, and I'm not comfortable with the terminology. They call themselves perps dexes, and they're people that just do perpetuals. And we've got, we're much more broader offering than that. I don't, I call it a trading platform, but I suppose it's a dex in a sense because we don't take custody of funds. We're not selling financial products. We don't price anything, and it's all done independently. So I suppose in that sense, it's a decentralized exchange. Although I do like the term decentralized trading platform personally.
Yeah, and that's where your branding kind of come from. So the P2P kind of trading is what you're all about. And guys, if anybody else does have any other questions, do please put them in there. We'd love to hear from you just to kind of get some extra ideas of what you're looking for, what you want to enhance your knowledge with based on what you've learned already about the protocol. It's not even a protocol, I guess, in a sense. It's again even more than that in a way, actually in a big way, because it's
Yeah, I think our liquidity provision is really interesting, and that's one thing to hit home. There's a lot of traders out there, but Foxify isn't just for traders. It's a platform where you can own the Foxify token, stake that, and and that is very pure because the platform itself is the largest holder of its own token, and that's how the platform makes its own fee. So you as a holder of the Foxify token, your ambitions or your wants and needs are completely aligned with that of Foxify as an organization. So you can own the Foxify token, earn 50% native, 50% stable, and you can, if you want, you could also then decide to automatically put all of your earnings into the Perps liquidity pool, which would then earn ETFs in Bitcoin, ETH stables, and a little bit of Foxify. So there's a number of different ways, and you can provide liquidity to the Perps liquidity pool. We will have a liquidity provision program that will kick off around our beta, and we'll offer sort of specific incentives for early liquidity providers as well. And that will, like I say, that the liquidity is held in an ETF, which is blue chip, part stables, a little bit of Foxify, and that ETF also pays you in the same amount. So you've got exposure to Bitcoin and ETH, hedged with stables, but then you've also got the opportunity to earn more Bitcoin and ETH by providing liquidity to the liquidity pool.
Interesting. So, and is that with just the Foxify token that you're putting that liquidity up in with, or is it just other pairs and then you're earning different things from it?
Yeah, it's not really pairs. Think of it like an ETF, and that ETF, acts as, if you like, for want of another phrase, it acts as almost like house money.
Yeah.
And when you're trading perpetuals and you use leverage, you're taking a loan effectively from the liquidity pool, and that loan has to be paid back.
Very cool.
And then also the Perps liquidity pool earns a large percentage of trading fees. So that liquidity is held in this basket of assets, which then earns more in that basket of assets. There's so much around liquidity provision. Honestly, like go to our website, read our documents. It's an absolute monster. We've got leveraged liquidity, so you can take your farm. Say you've got Arbitrum ETH in a farm earning you 25%. You can drop that into our vault. It will farm it for you. And then the receipt token is auto farmed in our Perps liquidity pool. If our Perps LP was doing 40% and you've got 25% from your farm, for the same farm, you would be earning on two mechanisms at the same time. So it's really innovative.
Yeah, and this doc, I've gone through it, and yeah, it's quite well written, fairly simple all in all for how complex the whole mammoth is, but it breaks it down really nicely and just kind of gives the Cole's notes, I guess, if you will, which is great. And Keith, also appreciate you. How will Foxify support MDB? So is there any cross abilities there, or is it pretty much two separate entities?
Yeah, they are two completely separate entities now. Obviously, MDB, has been a huge supporter and investor within Foxify in the early days, which has made it so possible for us to make so much traction early on. Very few organizations are 2 months out and leading in social engagement across its peers. And have already signed a global top 20 athlete, and have zero concerns around ability to fund its launch. So we're in a super unique position because of MDB, and obviously MDB is one of the largest contributors to Foxify, and then becomes by design, by result of that, one of the largest beneficiaries as well. They're different platforms. Foxify is a completely different organization that is built on Arbitrum, and MDB is on Binance Smart Chain. So there is no integrations there from a sort of like a UI perspective or anything like that.
Nice. And the other question I had actually about that, going into that, so you're built on Arbitrum, but there is the ability I saw to transfer tokens, swap cross chain.
Absolutely.
So I guess right now, obviously, it's going to be all L1s based on Ethereum chains specifically. And if a new one gets added, like Arbitrum has just come into the game, kind of thing, is that easy for you guys to implement and bring those in onto the system?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, L2s, people like Polygon, Arbitrum, Avalanche, and so on. So it won't just say there's L1s, obviously, and then also the L2s will be on there as well.
Nice, cool, and so easy to adapt and grow. So that's amazing. And double, like I said, just following up on what we said earlier. Yeah, double farming is cool. So nice. And yeah, so any other questions, guys, please let me know. On ramp and off ramp, obviously, I'm assuming that's third party stuff that you're using to do that in some ways, or is it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like even the largest central exchanges in the world, of which we're using some of the same services. We don't want to start getting involved in financial services. That is not
no, absolutely
not what we're doing at all. So yeah, no, you'd always use what is it? It's something that I've said a lot in the last year actually in this industry, because everyone like releases a DEX, or everyone releases what's the other thing, a launch pad, or what's it?
Oh, even bridges and swaps and
casino. Yeah, it's just like crypto bingo, isn't it? Of the things that people launch and cookie cutter each other. And I mean, somebody taught me a long time ago that if you don't have an ambition to be top 3 in what you're building, don't do it. If you don't really see a path to be top 3, don't do it. And that goes for services as well. Do we want to be one of the top 3 on ramp services globally? Absolutely not. Do we want to use one of the top 3? Absolutely. So there's no shame in using sort of market leading services.
No, especially not for stuff like that, especially when you want to centralize on what you're actually doing, because you become a catch-all, and like you say, you become master of none. And you guys have been really good. You've done MDB, you've done Phoenix. Those are all things you focused on. You didn't try and be a catch-all for everybody, and now you've shifted, because that's kind of done. It's
how many DEXs are out there that have just no volume at all?
Ridiculous.
It's so easy to underestimate. You think, I have a DEX and I'll be pancake swap, and it's an incredibly competitive space.
Yeah, and they think they can do it just by buying down the fees, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we're not having enough volume, we're losing money, and then the fees go over above whatever. So yeah, it doesn't work. I agree. And I know this, but obviously it's a question that people are asking, so it's always good to let them know. Any KYC requirements for this?
There will be no KYC requirements.
Absolutely.
It could be, we've got, our long-term ambitions are to leverage Web3 to disrupt well beyond crypto, and to go through those phases, you've definitely got to be thinking about compliance and a much tighter regulation, especially around things like stocks and so on. So but in our certainly in our early phases, there'll be no KYC.
Nice. And I guess that's also a reason why you don't want to be doing the on ramps and off ramps, because those would in some cases require that, I presume.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It blows my mind actually. I remember being like an early investor in DeFi, and I remember projects, saying, we've got to do X, Y, and Z, and we will get an on ramp, and they positioned it as if they were like turning water into wine, and then they would launch a third party off ramp, which actually all they're doing is putting the link on their website. But anyway, that's just me bitching about the past.
There's definitely been lots of room for doing that, so I don't blame you. So yeah, and other than that, so obviously Tyson Fury, that was, I guess we should speak a little bit about that, because that's a pretty darn big thing. How did that come about? I did watch a little video with you and him and Pelton, and I must admit, quite the guy, very outspoken, very blunt in a really good way, but definitely no holds barred kind of guy. So I guess talk a little bit about that and how that all came to fruition.
Look, I think if you think about the strategy, you're looking for endorsement that gives you both credibility and exposure, right? And credibility both in sort of the eyes of private investors as well as the market. And he's an individual that has global appeal. and is known. Some people don't know. Sometimes I say, "Oh, I was signed Tyson Fury," and they say, "Who?" But 9 times out of 10, people know who he is across the world, and most sports, have regional sort of like strengths. And he's certainly somebody who transcends many different regions. He's also somebody who he's a fighter, not only in terms of his profession, but and I think there's definitely a synergy there, probably in terms of our style. We're not heavyweight world champion boxers, but at all. But we are, fighters. We launched our first project a week before Terra Luna, and made no excuses, and we dug in and we made it work. And
you're still here.
And well, yeah, that's and we thrived, right? We didn't just survive; we thrived, and that's because we've got a real fighting spirit. We won't give up. We don't like to make excuses. So and we want to change the space. The reason I'm doing this is because we see obviously an opportunity, but an opportunity driven by a lack of trust within the industry. And Foxify takes away a lot of that fear.
Nice. No, I agree, and I agree. The synergy between the both of you, even when watching that video, was quite apparent and quite interesting to see how it made sense in the end. Because at first, some people, I'm sure, kind of did a what, why, but definitely the buzz that occurred because of it was unprecedented in this space. And then yes, just the way he is and the way he acts and the drive he has, and the fact that you eat, sleep, and breathe DeFi on your guy's side, and he eats, sleeps, and breathes boxing. It's definitely a good pair, which is awesome.
Absolutely. I think maybe like sometimes people can misunderstand as well. Like I think crypto, whilst it's a bear market, it's still a fairly big market, right? It's still trillions of dollars. So I mean, in terms of trading volume, so it's not immaterial, and actually, do you work with someone in the mainstream and they bring you 100,000 people on your Twitter, and do they that doesn't happen. Maybe it creates a real buzz during a bull market. It doesn't really happen. What it does is it shows people, like, beyond any doubt, you're serious. And that's super valuable. I had a meeting with somebody yesterday who was really helpful. It was a market maker who was taking us through different exchanges, pros and cons. We're looking at central exchange listings, and I said to him, "Can I just ask you a question? These guys, how much value do they really create for your token, right? They say, oh, we've got 50 gazillion users, and it'll have such an impact, so you got to pay this to list." And he said, "Do you know what? Within the industry, it's just seen as like a line between whether you're serious or you're not. So it's just something you have to do to be seen as credible." And this is you're always looking for ways to turn heads within your industry, rather than do we believe it's going to bring in millions of retail users? Absolutely not. Will it bring in lots of people that are aware of crypto and engaged in crypto, and then because of the association follow the breadcrumbs? That's absolutely.
Yeah, and it's just about changing those mindsets and getting them from a crypto to a crypto kind of example. And then Keith says, and I'm pretty sure, and some people started answering it in there, but it's not as stable for the Foxify token.
So Happy Peterson's already answered it. So it's not a stable token. You can stake the token and earn 50% stables, 50% Foxify.
Yeah, so very good. And so that token, is it going to be listed on exchanges, or are you guys?
Absolutely.
Okay, nice. And any particular ones we're allowed to announce yet, or not sure yet?
I think we'll always take a pragmatic view. I think my job is to deliver value for the organization, and the further you go up that list, it's harder, and the demands are bigger, and you have to make a call on whether really that delivers value for you at that point in time. So the playbook typically is giving away the secrets for other people. You should go and work it out themselves. But the playbook typically is tier 2 exchange, and then tier 1 exchange becomes easier, right? And I think getting straight onto sort of major tier 1 exchanges is not only difficult before you're listed on other exchanges, it's also extremely expensive and close to impossible before you launch. So so that's kind of where we are.
It's more of a ladder strategy as opposed to just going for the top kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I don't. You're always leading me. I'm not going to be. I was controversial on the AMA I did yesterday. I'm going to be nice today. So
Yeah, there you go.
yeah, it's just they're looking out for their holders, and that's
Of course. So yeah, and any utility wise, so that I guess Cordomai is going through the utility of the token. I mean, it's going to be used inside the actual trading platform. Is there anything else outside of that? I don't really see any point.
I'm struggling with the utility question. I'll be honest.
Yeah,
It's a trading platform, and
yeah,
by staking the token, you earn a share. So if you owned 1% of the staking pool, then you would earn 1% of the fees that are funneled into the staking pool. So maybe that answers the question. I shouldn't be so flippant, but yeah. So that's there's a number of different things within the system as well. So the Foxify token itself is also makes up 7.5% of the ETF that goes into the Perps LP. So there is that flywheel effect there, and I can something that I can say actually quite openly is that if there was a situation where as long as we've got capital and there is a value opportunity to acquire Foxify tokens, then Foxify itself would buy its own tokens and accumulate them at any time it presented value, because that's how Foxify itself earns revenue. So if other people don't want them and they're selling them too cheap, then the business itself will buy them back and hold on to them.
Yeah, which makes sense because then you can put them in there and start earning your Foxify and stable. So makes sense.
Exactly.
Awesome. And so we've gone through a lot of the different details. I do want to do, as I said, I will be doing a video afterwards sometime next week before the mint, where I'd like to kind of dig into the white paper, not as a walkthrough because those are boring, but I do want to kind of go through and break it down a little bit. Is there anything else that we want to get out to the people right now that you guys are trying to go through that we maybe have missed so far, that you want to make sure everybody knows? And then obviously we'll get into how to get involved, I guess, right after that.
Yeah, look, I think I'd just love to hammer home the if you launch in this industry, you're thinking, where does my first 10,000 users come from? And then you're looking, the dream is to get to 1 million users, and we're obviously working very hard, but we're extremely confident because of our experience in the communities we've already built and the reputation we've already built within the space, that we shouldn't have to worry too much about that first sort of milestone.
Mm-hmm.
And in addition to that, what we're doing in terms of the options is really revolutionary. It's really scalable, and it creates a system where it allows rather than how most systems work, and certainly in a centralized setting, is that retail trades and then an institution picks up the other side. So it's the little guy, it's David fighting Goliath. And in our system with the options, what it enables is for anybody to compete on either side of that options book, which means that anybody can decide to be Goliath.
Nice. No, that's awesome. I appreciate that. And then to get involved right now, obviously there is and I should have put the link in and I'll put that in afterwards for the Zilly, forgetting the name.
Zealy.
Thank you. So people that want to get a whitelist and do one of these mints, they'll use the Zealy link to kind of engage and try and find people, I guess, is one of the main things for you guys. It's kind of a referral type system to help bring more people to the community. And then they can earn a whitelist. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So I'm reading questions here.
Oh, gotcha. So I figured that's what you're doing. On ramp and off ramp, we've already talked about. So if you want to go back and watch that, but basically it's third parties for that. And then self custody wallet. So that's pretty cool. And I don't think we really actually went into that enough, but you guys actually will have your own wallet, sort of, that is just as you mentioned very quickly. You set it up, an email gets sent to you with your keys. You do have to, like you said, be very cautious on what you do with that information. But then you have a wallet now it's not a MetaMask. It's just through you guys through the trading platform, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's some of these questions, it'll all become clear on beta, I think.
Yeah.
And so I implore people, and we're really keen to talk to people that that have strong opinions and trade decent volumes, and they've got a lot of experience trading that we can involve in the beta, and can really stress test us and give us really good feedback, because
Nice.
ultimately we want to, our ambition is to launch the most advanced decentralized trading platform ever to launch, and to continuously build on that. And so it's you guys that are critical in the development of the application.
Nice. And I believe actually I'll have to check. I think I have some whitelists that I'll be able to give out, which I'll do through my video that I do later on.
You do.
And so please come by my Discord. I guess a quick shill for me, but come by my Discord and we'll let you know when that's all happening. But other than that, if you want to do it the organic way, set up Zeely, which I'll put the link in the description so you guys can find that, to try and help grow that community even more, and then get yourself a whitelist for the mints, and those are free. You're pretty much paying gas, I presume, to mint one of those, and they're pretty cool looking.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the whitelist sounds like it's a pre-sale. It's not. It's whitelist for a free NFT.
Yeah, exactly.
It's free,
True.
and it's it could potentially have huge secondary market value.
Yeah, and especially like you said earlier, that gold one is kind of for the traders. They're going to be fighting over those ones, and I think there's only 100 of those guys.
It's 1 in 100 chance.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry. Okay, that makes sense because
If
you
we
guys don't have a
minted,
max
I don't know,
mint.
2,000 NFTs, there would only be 20 of them in existence.
Okay, amazing. So yeah, so your chance at those, and I guess every one of those mints, you have a chance to earn one out of those mints that happen.
Absolutely, you can come in each wave. If you just minted bronze each time, you only need 5 bronze, and you can chop that in for a silver actually, which gets 10% off trading fees. So
Nice.
yeah, you can come in every wave. There's nothing
Free
stopping
is
you.
always good. So you guys know how to market it, and that's a great way to do that. So, actually, Keith just put this out, and I guess that's kind of true in a sense. It's kind of like the cake token for a comparable for people to get their mind around.
Yeah, I suppose it's a completely different business.
Yeah, but the
Yeah,
idea
and
of it being a token that's for the DEX that you
yeah,
can stake in order to
yeah.
earn revenue on from the
Well, the
fees.
cake token is inflationary as well, so
Yeah,
you're always fighting against the fact that they're minting more and more of them. So yeah, but I see what you mean.
yeah.
But it's I'll probably compare it more to say GMX as a token than I would cake
Oh,
in
true.
terms of
Yeah,
its
yeah. Of course.
structure.
Yeah, good point. Awesome. So yeah, so the NFTs, you guys can mint them, and there's another 4 phases.
3 more, 3
3 more.
more. So this one next week. After that, there's only 2 more. So do not miss out.
Exactly. Go now. Shop. But wait, there's more. So yeah, so go in there, get your whitelist or whatever, so you can get that free mint, and then obviously, are they part of the next phase automatically, or is there other things they'll have to do to get into the next phase?
No, you have to get into. You have to earn. You have to
Each
earn
one.
each
Good
one.
stuff.
Yeah.
You got to go to battle,
Yeah.
fight like Tyson Fury. So
Exactly.
perfect. All right, and other than that, getting in, that's really the first step right now. That's really the only step until either beta, if you are a trader and you are somebody that's in the system and maybe wants to test it, you reach
Yeah.
out to you guys. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think don't please, we haven't got the
Unlimited.
capacity to sort of like having DM conversations. If you're an institutional trader and you're like, hey, I'd love to talk to you guys, then by all means seek us out. But we'll release details nearer the time on how people can get a place in the beta.
Perfect. Awesome. So other than that, those are really the ways to get involved now, or those two different kind of ways. One being the mint being the main one, really. And
Absolutely.
then from there, we just sort of wait until the next big announcements, which you said possibly something next week. And I think you're doing some more touring over the next little bit in Dubai and possibly
Istanbul next week.
Istanbul. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So if you're in Turkey, come by and see us.
Nice. Awesome. All right. Well, if that's it, I think we've gotten through a lot of different things. So I do appreciate your time as always.
Thank
And
you.
it's always great to see you again. And I'll be by the Discord, I'm sure, from time to time to say hi to
Pleasure.
everybody. And yeah, I can, well, you're watching on my channel, so you should be, Discord channel. Sorry. Yes, I'll put that in there as well. Thanks, Hernan. And yeah, so thank you so much. Anything last words or any words of wisdom for everyone?
Words of wisdom. No, I got pushed for some wisdom last night. Put me
Yeah, I've heard
on
that.
the spot.
I won't
Yeah,
do any out of the spot ask there, but
yeah. There was some real. No, look. I think we've our reputation speaks for itself. We're going to go on a fantastic journey. I genuinely believe we're going to change the face of trading within DeFi. So stick with us, and it's going to be a fun ride.
Nice. No, I appreciate that, and I agree, and I'm looking very forward to it. I haven't been excited for a whole lot in this space for a while. There's been a few little things that have been fun, but this is really neat. That, like you say, it's going to change the space, which we haven't seen a big change in the space in a while, and we need it because
Absolutely.
it's definitely something to pull it in the right direction. So,
Good stuff.
so thanks so much, guys, for joining us. And if there's anything else, do come by the Discord and say hi to Danny and the gang. There's lots of support there. The mods, I think I heard you the other day saying you guys have had mods since day one. So these are some great people that know the space and know the product. So get in
and
there.
The community, credit to the community. I think the mods get, they get a good time because our community is just like super helpful.
Yeah, no, I agreed 100%. Awesome. And that makes it huge, right? So that's the biggest value, I think, of any of these kind of things in the space. And that's what's going to make the big ones is these communities of amazing people. So like Rochelle, thank you again. And on that note, we'll say goodbye. Thanks so much, guys, for joining us, and have a great day.